The stars were silent. The void stretched without end, a black ocean filled with distant lights. At the very edge of that darkness, a massive alien fleet floated like a steel storm waiting to break. Thousands of ships formed rows across the endless night, their engines glowing with cold blue light. This fleet belonged to the Valari Dominion, one of the oldest and strongest empires of the galaxy. For centuries, the Valari had expanded, crushing weaker civilizations, claiming planets and enslaving species. No one had ever stopped them. No one had ever dared to challenge their might, and now, for the first time, the Valari were preparing to enter a region that every other empire avoided. Human space. Legends filled the galaxy about that place. Old warnings, strange whispers in records, forgotten tales of ships that entered and never returned. Most thought of them as myths. But still, no empire dared to cross that border. The stars there were uncharted, the maps incomplete, the routes avoided. But the Valari commander, High Lord Zorath, did not believe in myths. Inside the flagship Vengeance of Stars, he stood tall in the command chamber. His dark armor reflected the glow of the galaxy map before him. His eyes, sharp and cruel, burned with pride. "All these centuries," he said to his captains, his voice echoing through the chamber, "the galaxy trembles at stories of humans. And yet, where are they? Where is their power? Where is their empire?" His clawed hand pointed at the glowing region of the map, marked only as unknown human territory. "This is nothing but empty space and abandoned colonies. The stories are lies. Ghost tales to scare children, and today we prove it. Today, the Dominion claims human space." The chamber filled with the roar of his captains. The Valari believed in conquest, and their blood burned for war. Yet not all shared the commander's arrogance. One of the younger officers, Captain Cyril, spoke with hesitation. "My lord, the archives, they hold warnings. Not just myths, records from ancient times. Fleets vanished. Even the Kresh warlords, who feared nothing, entered once and never returned." Zorath's eyes narrowed, sharp as blades. He stepped close to the younger captain. "You fear shadows. You repeat old stories. But I see only weakness in your words. Do you think humans are gods? Do you think they are demons?" Cyril lowered his eyes. "No, my lord. I only think caution may save lives." The chamber fell silent. For a long moment, Zorath said nothing. Then he laughed, cruel and cold. "Caution is the shield of cowards. And the Dominion has no cowards." He turned back to his captains. "Prepare the fleet. We cross at dawn cycle." The border of human space was not marked by walls or stations. It was only silence. The Valari fleet moved past the last known trade route, leaving behind the busy lanes of the galaxy. They entered a stretch of stars that no one had mapped for centuries. At first, nothing happened. The void was quiet, empty. No patrols, no defense fleets, no signals of life. "See?" Zorath declared from the bridge of his flagship. "Nothing but empty skies. Where are these mighty humans? Where are these monsters of the dark? I see only cowards who hide." But as the fleet pushed deeper, strange things began to happen. The comms filled with static. Officers tried to clear the signals, but the noise only grew worse. Strange pulses appeared on the scanners, small, fast-moving blips that vanished before being tracked. Ships reported hearing whispers on their comms, voices that did not belong to anyone. Some heard a single word repeating again and again, "Leave." The crew grew restless. Eyes turned toward the darkness beyond their viewports, where stars shimmered faintly. Many swore they saw shapes moving between the stars, black shadows that did not reflect light. Captain Cyril stood on his bridge, watching his crew grow pale. He felt a cold knot forming in his chest. Something was wrong. This was not empty space. This was not silence. This was a place that watched them. And then it happened. One of the smaller warships, the Iron Fang, vanished from formation. No warning, no explosion. It was there one moment and gone the next. Alarms screamed across the fleet. Ships turned, scanning the void, searching for the missing vessel. Where did it go? Zorath demanded. Lost from sensors, my lord, an officer answered. It just disappeared. Moments later, the Iron Fang returned. It drifted slowly back into formation, but something was horribly wrong. Its hull was blackened and burned, twisted as if melted by fire. The ship's lights were dead. No signals came from within. Board it, Zorath ordered. Bring me the survivors. A boarding team entered the ship. Minutes passed. Then a voice came through the comms, shaking with terror. My lord, there are no survivors, no crew. Only the voice cut off. Static filled the channel. When the feed returned, the boarding team's helmet cameras showed the ship's walls. Deep scratches were carved into the metal, hundreds of them, like claws. They formed strange symbols no one recognized. Then the cameras flickered. Shadows moved behind the boarding team, fast and silent. Screams filled the comms. One by one, their signals went dead. The last thing recorded was a single phrase, carved into the bridge of the dead ship. They are awake. Fear spread through the Valari fleet. Whispers of curses, of old legends, of warnings ignored. But Zorath's pride was stronger than fear. This is a trick, he said coldly. Old traps left behind. Humans are cowards hiding in shadows. We are the Dominion. We will burn their space until nothing remains. Yet even as he spoke, the void outside seemed to grow darker. Stars blinked out one by one, as if something vast and unseen moved between them. And in that silence, Captain, Cyril whispered to himself the words no one else dared speak aloud. They warned us we should not have come. The fleet drifted in uneasy silence. What had started as a proud invasion now felt like a march into a nightmare. The Valari ships floated in formation, their lights glowing weak against the endless black of human space. The wreck of the Iron Fang still hung among them, dead and silent, its twisted hull like a warning carved into steel. No survivors. No answers. Only strange marks on the walls, and the words burned into the bridge. They are awake. High Lord Zorath stood tall on the flagship's bridge, his armor reflecting the pale glow of dying screens. He refused to show fear. His eyes burned with pride, and his voice cut through the nervous silence of his officers. This is nothing but psychological warfare, he declared. Old tricks, abandoned ships, illusions meant to frighten us. The humans know they cannot fight us openly, so they try to make us doubt. But we are the Dominion. We are unbreakable. His captains roared in agreement, but their voices shook. The fear in their hearts was clear. The return of the dead hours passed. The fleet moved deeper into human space. Still, the strange whispers continued. Comms officers reported voices leaking into their channels. Sometimes the voices sounded like their own crewmates. Sometimes they sounded like children. Other times, they were deep, cold whispers repeating a single word. Leave. The voices never came from a source. They could not be tracked. No one could shut them out. Then another shock came. The dead ship, the Iron Fang, suddenly powered on. Lights flickered inside its broken hull. Its engines glowed faintly. Slowly, it drifted back into formation, as if guided by invisible hands. Impossible, gasped one of the officers. The systems were destroyed. There was no crew. Scan. Zorath ordered. The scans returned. No life signs. No functioning reactor. And yet, the ship moved. Then came the final horror. A transmission burst from the Iron Fang and spread across every ship in the fleet. It was not words at first, only static. Then came screams, hundreds of voices overlapping, crying out in agony. And beneath the screams, a calm, steady voice spoke. You should not have come. Shadows in the stars, panic spread. Crews whispered in fear. Some officers begged to turn back, to retreat to safe space. But Zorath stood unshaken. They try to frighten us, he growled. They hide in shadows because they fear our power. Enough of this, we press on. We will find these humans, and we will burn them from their holes. The fleet pushed forward, but the further they went, the stranger it became. The stars around them grew dimmer, as if a shadow passed through the galaxy itself. Their scanners glitched, showing false readings. Sometimes hundreds of ships appeared on radar, only to vanish the next moment. Captain Cyril stood on his bridge, staring into the void. His instincts screamed danger. Every shadow seemed alive. Every flicker of light felt like watching eyes. Then one of his officers cried out, "Something is moving." Across the stars, a dark shape drifted. At first it looked like an asteroid, but it was too smooth, too sharp. A ship? No. Too big. It passed across the starlight, and for a moment, every ship in the fleet went dark. Lights died. Engines failed. Screens went black. Only silence remained. For 60 long seconds, the fleet drifted blind in the void. And in that silence, every crew member heard the same thing in their ears: breathing. Slow, heavy, human breathing. When power returned, the stars shone again. But the strange shape was gone. Abandoned worlds at last, the Volari fleet discovered a planet. A blue-green world orbiting a golden star. It looked rich, alive, fertile. "Finally," Zoreth said. "Proof that humans are nothing but cowards hiding behind legends. We will take this world." The fleet descended, but as they scanned the planet, confusion spread. There were cities below, but empty. Towers stood tall, but no lights burned in them. Roads stretched for miles, but no movement stirred. It was as if billions had lived there and then simply vanished. Exploration teams landed. They found food left uneaten, machines left running, homes left with doors open. As if the people had walked away in the middle of their lives. "Where are they?" One soldier whispered. Then came the worst discovery. In the center of every city stood carvings. Massive symbols etched into stone. The same symbols that had been scratched into the hull of the Iron Fang. And at the base of each carving, the same words repeated in 100 languages. "We are still here." The scout's vision. Captain Cyril sent one of his best scouts, a young officer named Vera, to explore the ruins further. She moved through the silent streets, her helmet camera broadcasting back to the fleet. At first, everything was quiet. Empty homes. Silent towers. Wind blowing through hollow streets. Then her camera caught movement. "Wait," Cyril said. Pan left. "Did you see that?" Vera turned. Between two ruined buildings, a shadow moved. She advanced carefully. The shadow flickered again. Something tall, something fast. But when she looked directly, nothing was there. Her breathing grew heavier. "Command, I think something is here with me." The screen shook as she spun around. For a split second, a figure appeared in the corner of the image, tall, human-shaped, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. Then the feed cut to static. The warning: the scout never returned. Her signals were gone. But moments later, the entire fleet received a transmission. It was not scrambled this time. It was clear. It came from everywhere at once, as if space itself carried the voice. It was an old man's voice, steady and calm. "You should not have come. This place is not yours. Turn back now, or be buried among the stars." The fleet froze. Every captain stared at the transmission. Every officer felt their blood turn cold. "Who are you?" Zoreth demanded. "Show yourself. Do you think we fear empty threats?" But the voice only repeated, "You should not have come." Then silence. The breaking point. The fleet gathered in uneasy formation. Officers whispered to their commanders. Crews begged for retreat. Even the most loyal captains looked shaken. Only Zoreth remained defiant. His pride would not break. "Cowards and liars," he spat. "They cannot face us in battle, so they hide behind fear. Enough, tomorrow we strike. We will burn their abandoned worlds and force them into the open. Then all the galaxy will see who rules these stars. But as he spoke, Captain Cyril stood at his console, staring into the endless dark. He thought of the whispers. He thought of the breathing in the silence. He thought of the eyes glowing in the ruins, and he whispered the truth he dared not say. Aloud, they are here. They have always been here. And they are watching us. The Valari fleet floated like a storm across the abandoned world. Their ships hung in orbit, weapons ready, engines burning against the void. But inside those steel giants, silence ruled. The crews were afraid. They had seen too much ghost signals. Voices that whispered, ships vanishing without a trace, and a warning that echoed in every ear. You should not have come. Yet High Lord Zoroth's pride was stronger than fear. He stood in the command chamber of the flagship Vengeance of Stars, his tall figure like a blade in the dim light. His voice was hard and sharp, cutting through the nervous silence of his officers. They think to frighten us with shadows and whispers. They think to make us doubt. But today, we will show the galaxy the truth. Humans are nothing but ghosts clinging to forgotten worlds, and we will burn their ghosts away. The officers cheered weakly. Their voices carried no strength, but they dared not oppose their lord. Target the outpost below, Zoroth commanded. Reduce it to ash. Fire from the sky. The fleet aligned above the planet. Dozens of warships tilted their cannons downward. Blue fire charged at their tips, humming with the promise of destruction. Fire! Beams of energy split the heavens. They roared downward, striking the abandoned human outpost on the surface. Towers crumbled. Stone shattered. Flames spread. Across empty streets, the captains roared in pride. The crews cheered in nervous relief. For a moment, the Dominion believed victory was theirs. But then, the sky changed out from the darkness above. Ships appeared. Silent. Black. Their shapes were sharp, their surfaces absorbing light as though made from the void itself. They did not decloak with blinding light. They simply were there, as if they had always been watching. Hundreds of human warships surrounded the Valari fleet. The cheering died instantly. Silence filled the bridges. Captain Cyril stared at the viewscreen, his throat dry. They were here, all this time. The first blow. No warning came, no demands, no speeches. The humans struck first. A dozen Valari cruisers exploded in a flash of fire, torn apart by unseen weapons. Human ships moved like predators, swift, precise, merciless. Valari captains shouted orders, their voices breaking with fear. Shields up. Return fire. Blue beams shot through the void, but the human ships moved like shadows. They vanished, reappeared, struck from angles no Valari scanners could predict. The Dominion had numbers, but numbers meant nothing. Every Valari shot struck. Only empty space. Every human strike found its mark. Impossible, Zoroth roared. They are outnumbered. How can they? But before he could finish, another explosion shook the fleet. His second-in-command ship was gone, erased from existence in a single strike. The Predator's way. The humans fought differently than any species the Valari had ever known. Most empires fought with honor, with rules, with strategies that could be read and countered. But humans fought like predators. They did not fight for glory. They fought to kill. Their ships did not charge in lines or hold formation. They hunted. They circled. They cut stragglers from the herd and destroyed them with ruthless precision. Valari officers screamed reports. 7th Squadron destroyed. Admiral Crush is gone. They are targeting command ships first. Captain Cyril gripped the edge of his console. He had never seen such terror. He had never seen such skill. This was not war. This was slaughter. And in his heart, he realized the truth. The legends were real. No mercy won. Valari frigate tried to surrender. Its captain opened wide bandcoms, shouting for mercy. declaring he yielded. The humans gave no reply. A single shot cut through the frigate, splitting it in half. It exploded in silence, scattering broken steel across the stars. They don't take prisoners," whispered one officer. Fear spread through the fleet like fire. "Who are these creatures?" Another muttered, "What are they?" The human voice then, for the first time, the humans spoke. On every Valari screen, a single image appeared. A human stood in shadow, face half hidden, eyes like cold fire. His voice was calm, steady, and terrifying. "You should not have come," the same words. But this time, they carried power. This time, they came from the ones who ruled the battlefield. "This is only the beginning." The transmission ended. And the slaughter continued. Zorith's Rajexareth roared with fury. His pride burned hotter than fear. "Cowards! They hide behind tricks. Fight them! Fight them!" He slammed his fist against the console, his eyes wild. "Bring me their flagship. I will tear it apart with my own hands." But his fury changed nothing. The fleet crumbled around him. Ship after ship was destroyed. Entire squadrons erased. In minutes, and through it all, the humans remained silent hunters, striking without mercy. Without hesitation, Cyril's realization Captain Cyril watched the battle with growing horror. He saw how the humans moved. He saw how they hunted. And he understood what Zorith refused to see. "This is not war," he whispered. "This is survival." They fight as if every battle is life or death. They fight like a species that has faced extinction and learned to kill without mercy. "We are not predators here. We are prey." His crew looked at him in terror. None dared to speak, but all knew he was right. The escape at last. Zorith gave the order no one expected. "Retreat," he growled. His pride fought against the word. But even he knew the truth. The Valari fleet turned and fled, engines burning as they tried to escape the shadow of human space. But retreat was not mercy. The humans pursued. One by one, the fleeing ships were destroyed. Only a handful broke through, limping back toward the edge of human territory. Cyril's ship was among them. His hands shook as he watched the battle fade behind him. His heart felt heavy with a truth he did not want to carry. The Dominion had entered human space with pride. They had believed themselves predators. But they had found something far worse. The message as the survivors fled, one final transmission echoed across. Their COMs. The same human voice, calm and cold. "You crossed into our home. You killed our people. You thought we were weak, but you were wrong. This is only the beginning." The stars behind them burned with the light of destroyed ships. The Dominion fleet, once so proud, now returned broken, shattered, and afraid. And, in the silent dark of human space, the predators of predators watched them go. The survivors of the Valari fleet drifted back into known space like broken ghosts. Their ships were burned, their crews shaken, their pride shattered. Once, the Dominion's fleets had been the terror of the galaxy. Now they limped home beaten, carrying a story no one wanted to believe. High Lord Zorith sat in silence inside his ruined flagship. His armor was cracked. His eyes burned with rage, but deep within, even he could not hide the truth fear. He had faced something beyond his understanding. Behind him, Captain Cyril stood with quiet dread. He had seen the truth more clearly than anyone. He had seen the way humans fought. He had seen their silence, their patience, their ruthless precision. And he knew, if the Dominion ignored this warning, the galaxy itself would pay the price. Council of Empires news of the failed invasion spread fast. The Valari tried to silence it, but the galaxy whispered louder than any command. Soon, rumors reached the Council of Empires, a gathering of the most powerful civilizations, where decisions shaped the stars. The council hall was a vast ring, suspended in the void, glowing with the light of 1,000 stars. Representatives of dozens of empires sat in judgment. The Valerie stood at the center, their surviving commanders pale and broken. Zorath addressed them with his voice raised high. We faced shadows, not warriors. We faced tricks, not armies. They used deception, fear, and strange weapons, but they are not gods. They are not invincible. With enough strength, they can be destroyed. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some laughed, a reptilian lord of the Kesh Dominion hissed, "Are we to believe you lost half your fleet to ghosts?" A merchant prince of the Arathi chuckled. "Humans? Those old legends? We thought they were extinct." Others mocked openly. The Valari, proud conquerors, beaten by myths? Impossible. But then Captain Cyril stepped forward. His voice was not loud, but it carried weight. "I saw them. I saw how they fight. They do not fight like us. They do not fight for glory or for conquest. They fight to kill. They fight as if every battle is their last. They hunt us as predators hunt prey." The chamber grew quieter. His words carried fear, and fear was contagious. The Valari presented recordings from the battle. The council watched. On the great screens, the human ships appeared, black shadows that moved like death itself. Valeri warships fired beams of blue light, but their shots hit nothing. In return, the human ships cut them down with surgical precision. The chamber fell silent as the video showed a Valari frigate broadcasting surrender. The human ships gave no reply. One strike and the frigate was gone. Then came the image that silenced every mocking voice, the human transmission. A human face, pale and cold, eyes burning like fire. The voice that said, "This is only the beginning." The chamber was silent. Even the most arrogant leaders felt the weight of those words. Doubt and division debates raged in the council. "They are dangerous." One lord cried, "If humans exist, they must be destroyed before they strike again." "No," argued another. "If they are so powerful, war will doom us all. We must seek peace." But peace was not easy. No one knew how to contact the humans. They appeared without warning, struck without hesitation, and vanished like shadows. Some empires laughed in denial. Others whispered in fear. But everywhere, doubt spread. The rumors beyond the council, rumors flowed like rivers across the galaxy. On trade routes, merchants whispered of human warships seen near forgotten systems. On border worlds, colonies reported missing fleets. In distant space, abandoned outposts were found burned, silent, marked with strange symbols. Humans are coming. People said. They are awake again. Fear spread faster than truth. The fractures inside the Valari Dominion, cracks began to form. Soldiers who had seen the battle whispered behind closed doors. Admirals questioned their leaders. Families of the lost demanded answers. The once proud Dominion now shook with doubt. High Lord Zorath raged against it all. "We are strong. We are the Dominion. We will not bow to shadows." But his words sounded weaker than before. Captain Cyril, in quiet moments, wondered if the humans had already won. Not by battle, but by fear. Strange reports other empires began to see the signs. A Kesh fleet vanished near the rim. Only wreckage returned, carved with the same symbols the Valari had found. An Arathi convoy found of their stations abandoned. Its walls scratched with a single phrase, "We are still here." A Tehran listening post received a transmission of breathing, nothing else. Just slow, heavy, human breathing that lasted for hours. Fear became universal. The secret message then. Across the galaxy, a single message spread. No one knew how it was sent. It appeared in every language, on every frequency, on every world. It said, "We did not seek war. You brought it to our home. You thought us weak. You were wrong. Now we come for yours." The galaxy froze. Billions watched in silence. For the first time in living memory, every empire felt the same thing. Fear. The storm to come. The Council of Empires broke into chaos. Some shouted for alliances, others for surrender, others for total war. But no decision could calm the growing terror. Everywhere, people whispered. Armies trained. Fleets gathered. But deep inside, every leader knew the truth. If humans were truly awake again, then the galaxy itself would tremble. And in the silence of forgotten stars, human eyes watched. They had been patient. They had been quiet. But now, they were preparing to move. The galaxy had laughed at the legends. The galaxy had mocked the warnings. But now, the galaxy would learn. They dared to cross into human space. And now humanity was coming. The galaxy waited. Billions of stars shone like candles in the dark, but across the void, silence hung heavier than ever before. Every empire, every fleet, every world was tense. The warnings had come, the battles had been fought, and the survivors had returned to tell their tales. And yet, no one had truly understood what was coming. The humans had been silent for centuries. They had hidden in forgotten corners, abandoned worlds, and empty space. They were counted out, underestimated, dismissed as weak. But now, they were awake. The gathering storm on a distant planet in human space, the humans prepared. Massive shipyards glowed with the fire of construction. Ships of strange black metal slid silently into the void, ready for war. Unlike other civilizations, humans did not boast. They did not parade their power. They built in silence, like predators waiting for the perfect moment to strike. In the central command, a single figure stood before the assembled fleet. His face was calm, his eyes sharp, and his voice carried a quiet authority that demanded attention. We were patient, he said. We watched, we waited. They came into our space thinking we were weak. They thought we were prey. They were wrong. Today, we show them what it means to challenge humanity. Every officer, every pilot, every crew member felt the weight of those words. They were ready. They had always been ready. The first wave the humans moved as one. Their ships emerged from the shadows, black and silent, absorbing the starlight around them. The Valari fleet had once believed themselves unstoppable. They had laughed at human legends. They had dared to cross the Forbidden's border. Now they were about to pay the price. From nowhere, human strike teams hit the Valari fleets. Ships disintegrated in flashes of light, torn apart before they even knew what had struck them. Sensors failed, weapons misfired, and the proud Valari captains screamed in disbelief. Impossible, High Lord Zorath roared. We outnumber them. We are the Dominion. How can they? But before he could finish, another explosion tore through the bridge of his flagship. Sparks flew. Sirens wailed. Zorath gritted his teeth, realizing that no words, no pride, no power could save him now. The humans fought like predators. They struck from shadows, disappeared, and reappeared. Every move was precise, every strike deadly. Fear across the galaxy. The news of the human strike spread faster than light. Other empires, once laughing at Valari claims, now panicked. Entire fleets were destroyed without mercy. Colonies burned. Outposts vanished. The symbols, scratches in steel, carvings on planets appeared everywhere, reminding all who saw them, humans are awake. The Council of Empires scrambled. Alliances were formed, but fear ruled every decision. Every fleet moved slowly, cautiously, terrified of making a wrong step. Merchants fled. Diplomats cowered. Every world whispered the same truth. Humanity was no longer a myth. Humanity was a predator. Unlike any the galaxy had seen. The edge of destruction, Zorath's fleet was reduced to nothing. Ships that had once been proud instruments of the Dominion were now burning wrecks, drifting in space like corpses. His remaining captains begged for mercy, for retreat, for survival. But Zorath refused to surrender. He rallied the remnants of his forces for one last stand. We will not bow to ghosts. We will not die in fear. Strike them now. But the humans did not give them the chance. Silent, precise, unstoppable, human ships surrounded the last Valari fleet. Beams of black light struck without warning. Valari vessels were shredded in seconds. Shields collapsed, engines exploded, entire squadrons disappeared. Cyril watched from the flagship. He could not speak. His crew was gone. His fleet was gone. The Dominion's pride had been crushed, not by numbers, not by fire, but by intelligence, patience, and ruthlessness. The human message, then came the voice. Not overcomes, not from one ship. It echoed across the galaxy, transmitted through every channel, every frequency, every screen. A human stood in shadow, calm and cold. His words carried like thunder. You crossed into human space. You thought us weak. You thought we would hide. You were wrong. This is not revenge. This is correction. This is the galaxy learning its place. The message repeated. This is only the beginning. Fear settled over every civilization like a dark cloud. Leaders could not respond. Fleets could not act. The galaxy trembled at the realization. Humans were not just powerful. Humans were unstoppable. Worlds fall one by one. Worlds fell. Not through conquest, but through precision. Human fleets did not occupy planets. They removed threats with surgical strikes. Capitals burned. Fleets disappeared. Entire armies vanished before they could fight. The galaxy had never seen such efficiency. Wars that once lasted decades ended in days. Civilizations that thought themselves immortal realized how fragile they were. Cyril, now a survivor watching from the edge of space, realized the truth the Valari had ignored. Humans were not empires like the others. Humans did not fight for land or wealth. They fought to survive and to protect what was theirs. The final stand in a desperate move. The largest alliance in the galaxy formed to confront humanity. Billions of ships gathered at the edge of known space. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. Pride burned in the hearts of thousands of leaders. They believed they could stop the humans, but humanity did not wait. They struck first. Ships vanished. Entire fleets destroyed before they could reach the humans. Worlds thought secure were obliterated. In hours, the alliance fell apart in panic. Leaders blamed one another. Soldiers surrendered or fled. And through it all, the human fleets moved like shadows. Relentless, precise, unstoppable. The galaxy learns fear by the end. Every empire understood the same truth. Humans were not to be challenged. Humans were not to be conquered. Humans were predators unlike any other. They did not seek empire, but when threatened, they became unstoppable forces of nature. The galaxy had laughed at the legends. The galaxy had mocked the warnings. And the galaxy had paid the price. Cyril watched the last transmission from a destroyed Valari outpost. The words were simple, clear, terrifying. They dared to cross into human space. And in doing so, they woke the nightmare of the stars. And for the first time, the galaxy understood the truth. Humans were not just a species. Humans were the ultimate predators. Silence filled the void once more. But it was no longer peaceful. It was the silence of fear. The silence of worlds knowing. They had met something they could not fight, something they could not stop. And humanity waited, patient, silent, watching. The stars themselves seemed to shiver under the weight of what had awakened.